ditches on both sides in most things. But you know what that means. It means we need Jesus all the more so that we can stay attuned to what he is in particular calling us to do. So, if you heard this conversation and you felt in some ways kind of excited of like, oh yeah, I'm going to say no to all kinds of things in a way that maybe bends towards self-indulgence, maybe time to pull back. If, on the other hand, you felt this kind of nervous fluttering of like, I know that's the right decision, but I'm going to really struggle, maybe that's where you lean in and create that space.
Welcome to Overwhelmed to Overcomer podcast with coach, encourager, and strategist Anna McLaughlin. If you're a Christian woman who has big dreams rooted in an even bigger God, but most days those dreams feel completely out of reach, trust me, I get it. As a homeschooling mama of 4, entrepreneur, investor, and all-around wearer of many hats, I am right there with you. And yet the Lord invites us to live out our God-given purpose now in the midst of the madness. So let's explore together how we can know our calling and walk in it today with clarity, with courage, with each other. It's time for you to live the life you love and love the life you live. Let's do this thing.
Hello and welcome to this 1 week before Christmas conversation. So listen, I'm going to shoot real straight with you today. We're going to keep this super simple because I have a feeling that there's someone listening whose hair is a little bit on fire today, whose head feels like it's rotating on its axis. You're starting to feel that certain kind of angst and snappishness. Are we going to get it all done? Why is this so crazy? And we're just gonna sit, whether you're driving all over the place, whether you got the kids screaming in the background, whether you're listening to this on double speed, in which case I know for a fact my voice gets real fast. Take a breath and imagine that we're sitting across from each other, hot mugs of coffee in our hands. And I'm going to say to you what I've been saying to my own self, what I have been saying to some friends just this week, just in the past couple of weeks. Take a breath. Okay? The enemy wants nothing more than for you to feel frazzled and haggard today. And so we're going to go at this one real specific way. I'm going to invite you to just hang with me for this conversation and become willing to honor the no's that you already know you need to say. Now, you might want to hang up the line right now. You might want to shut the podcast down, but I'm just going to invite you to sit with me. There's a certain sort of something that we do as women of faith where we start with the premise of like God calls us to love, but then we start kind of like cutting and pasting it onto places that the Lord never called us to go. And I've talked in here before, but I love this description so much about Joyce Meyer, who has this story about the time that she decided to be Susie Homemaker. And if you're kind of a strong, bold woman, you might really resonate with this particular tale. So she decides that, so her neighbor is very, at the time, whenever the story was told, is very nurturing, very handy around the house. She makes, I don't know exactly what the details are, but she's one of those like makes her own bread and ferments her own sauerkraut. And of course, she has this banging garden, absolutely rock star garden. And so so Joyce decides she's going to embrace this, what she thinks a Proverbs 31 woman is supposed to look like. Real nurturing, real rooted in the home, in hands in the dirt, making things, hands are never idle, all of that. And so she she plants a garden and she sows tomato seeds. Just I don't even know, are they seeds? I think they're seeds. Obviously I'm resonated far more with Joyce than this woman. And so It's harvest time. They're going to harvest the tomatoes the next day. Joyce, by the way, has hated every single solitary minute of this. Okay, just to be clear. Next day, they're supposed to wake up, harvest the tomatoes. They get up that day. Joyce goes out to check the tomatoes. There are black bugs all over her tomatoes. So she calls her next door neighbor, and she says, "There's black bugs all over our tomatoes." The neighbor runs out. She says, "Mine are fine." Joyce is livid at the Lord. Here I'm trying to be faithful. I'm trying to be this dutiful wife. I'm trying to do all these matronly, motherly things, these nurturing things. And why do I have bugs all over my tomatoes and my neighbor doesn't? Because she prayed over her tomatoes. You know, she's a preacher, so she's doing her thing, right? And the Lord says, I have no obligation to protect that which I have not called you to do. Okay. It's not harvest time, but someone needs to hear that. If your peace is out of order, if you've lost it, might be worth a check. Am I saying yes to things that I kind of shoulded and ought to'd myself into? That was not my portion. Okay. This is a time of year when there's a lot of extra added on. There's lots of bake sales and bake offs and gatherings and cookie exchanges, and all of it's meant to create this sense of magic and wonder. But I'm just going to ask the question, how's that going? What needs to jump off the calendar? What do you need to say a humble, I'm sorry about? I'm sorry. I overextended. I really wish that I could come, but I just can't. It's okay to do a celebration in January. January is a lot more quiet for some people. It's not for us because we have all the birthdays, but it's a great time to gather and to honor those we love. What do you need to lay down? Because ultimately, here's the point of the whole thing. We need to prepare him room. Prepare him room. It doesn't just happen. The magic and the wonder, it is not meant to come at the price of your peace. Okay? And you may have this is a tricky time because you are going to see people that you love dearly, that you honor, that you respect, who have a different level of capacity than you. And so they may be running the bake-offs and doing the Christmas bazaars and doing the Operation Christmas Child and doing the giving trees and doing the Christmas lights and hosting a cocoa baking thing. I mean, all of it. And it might be that they are right where the Lord has called them to be. And it might be that you need to sit snuggled up in a blanket with a wubby. I don't even, what are those? Are those the pajamas with feet? Whatever it is. And a cozy drink and the fire crackling, Christmas lights on, and just breathe. I'm gonna offer this one too. You ready? The Lord called me at the beginning of December. He said, I want you to get a handle on your phone. I had started listening to these apologetic guys that were really life-giving for me. After some rough stuff earlier this year, it was just fortifying my faith and bringing life to my bones and just like strengthening me before the Lord. But I noticed I'd wash the dishes and listen to these guys, and I'd fold the laundry and listen to these guys, and like my kids kind of couldn't catch me, right? And I would start to think about the next opportunity that I was going to have to be able to listen to the podcast or whatever it was. I could see myself just looking for the next opportunity to listen to the next thing. Hours sometimes when I was doing housework, just hours of binging content. And I'll tell you who they are because they're fantastic. Wes Huff, and then through him found my way to Gavin Ortland, who is like just so calm and well reasoning, and he draws from the church fathers, and he wrestles through these big issues with a lot of humility and grace. Absolutely awesome stuff. If you're looking for a place to start, I really love the one that's titled something along the lines, I'll try to put it in the show notes, of so it's Gavin Ortland, and the tagline is um, was Nero the Antichrist? And he goes through premillennialism and postmillennialism, and then he goes through it's all end times theology. What's I forget what that's called. Anyway, and then he talks about the partial preterist perspective on the end times, which is actually the viewpoint that I hold. And so and it's kind of rare, at least where I live. So it was so encouraging to hear him share his perspective. Um, and have this take of here's why he's a partial preterist, which also aligns with why I'm a partial preterist. I'm getting way off track, and here I am giving you something else. Listen to it in January. Just put it in put it in your notes. So listen to it in January. Um, so good. Okay, coming back. We can do this. The Lord called me. He said, stop consuming on your phone. Full stop. Literally, no YouTube, no Facebook, no Instagram, nothing. Simply converse. So I can text, I can voice message, I can be on my chats with my friends. Totally fine. Email, check my email. But no streaming, no YouTube videos. The only consumption I can do is the word. And that we're literally talking hours difference from what I was doing with my phone per week to what he called me to do at the beginning of December. If nothing else, I want to invite you to the same. I've had moments of tears in my car, unexpected, because it's just quiet. My husband and I had to take a road trip and we talked for 7 hours. We just talked. What would have happened otherwise? I would have been listening to the audio and he would have just let me and he would have napped and that would have been it. 7 hours, just he and I, talking, dreaming, hashing through the past, remembering old stories, puzzling over things to come. What do we do about this? Yeah, what does this child need? Beautiful. That is a change we can make today without disappointing anybody, except for, Mark Zuckerberg and all those guys. We don't care about that. Okay? I want to invite you to the same. Lay it down. No more podcasts. Turn mine off right now. Okay? If that's what you feel called to do. Prepare him room. It requires intention. If we just follow the next scheduled activity, we're going to miss it. Friend, what your children need most is a present mother looking full on his wonderful face, beholding him, the King of Angels. I was telling my kids we need to get ready for him to come, and my son was like, he already came. It doesn't matter. We have a church calendar so that we can live in this wonder and expectation. What was it like? I heard a sermon one time. This was so profound to me. They said, listen, the way the Jewish family system worked, ain't no way. And now this is his perspective, and I don't have any sources to cite, but just consider this. Ain't no way that Mary and Joseph didn't have family to stay with in Bethlehem. They were excluded because of the perception of this young, betrothed, and then married woman. The questions. Oh, she's so far along already. They only just got married. What do you think is going on? Right? All the questions, all the suppositions, all the rumors. They know. Like, this is a time of year where it can be so easy to feel left out. It can feel so easy to feel like, well, I have to show up to hers because she showed up to mine and I don't want her to feel bad. We can start to get all these stories in our heads. Listen, friend, the Father knows, the Son knows. The Son was born into rejection. and walked it all throughout his life. This is where we need to be, living in this story every day, making room. Because he's a gentleman. Like, Christmas happens, but we can very easily miss it. And I just, oh, with all my heart, I just want to like pour it out to you and say, don't miss it. Not this year. Do whatever you have to do. Okay. And so, and here's what I want to talk to you about, because here's what I think happens. I started to say this and now I want to make sure I touch it. Okay. So we start with the premise of like, I have to love. I need to be loving. And we take that and then we decide what love is. So therefore, because I have to be loving, I've got to be nice. I've got to do what people want so they're not upset with me. But I'm going to argue that that's not actually love. Actually, I wasn't going to go here, but we're going to go here. Okay, so we're going to go to First Corinthians and we're going to read what love actually is. Okay. Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. So I want you to think about how you're showing up today and oh, I'm doing it myself and it's a little painful, okay? So love is. So I'm going to ask it as a question. Let's do this. Are you being patient and kind? Are you renouncing envy and boastfulness? Are you renouncing arrogance and rudeness? Are you choosing not to insist on your own way? Are you being neither irritable nor resentful? Are you managing not to rejoice at wrongdoing, but are you rejoicing with the truth? Are you bearing all things, believing all things, hoping all things, and enduring all things? Okay. Love never ends, friend. And I think about that, especially at the beginning. Love is patient and kind. See, what we can do is we're like, okay, I got to be loving, so therefore I have to show up. I have to do what people want. I have to meet the expectations. Though the first premise does not lead to that conclusion. My daughter's doing logic in her homeschool curriculum, and when we have faulty premises that don't line up, we can reach the wrong conclusion. Okay, so I have to love. I'm called to love. Yep. But then we've got this secret premise that's stuck in there that says it's loving to do whatever other people say. And therefore, in order to love, I have to do what other people say. Okay? Sorry, I'm called to love. It's loving to do what other people say. Therefore, I am called to do what other people say. Okay? So that's the whole picture that we've just created in our minds. The second premise is the problem. Am I nerding out enough for you? Bless America. If you're still here, just like send me a message and let me know that you that you hung with me because this is now I'm in geek territory. Okay, so the second premise is where we go wrong. That is not what we're called to do. We're not called to do what everybody else says. We're called to do what he calls us to do. And most of the time, I can't say most of the time, if you're never stepping on anybody's toes, you might need to check and see, am I really in alignment with the Father's call for my life? If there's nobody that's a little put out by the choices I'm making, now maybe they're not saying it to my face, but I can feel it in my spirit of like, I'm kind of nervous to tell them, I'm not going to do that this year. That doesn't work for us. We still say it in a loving way. But sometimes the Lord's going to meet that other person through our absence more than our presence, through us not being who they want us to be. Sometimes it reveals a deficit in the relationship where we've been holding up both sides instead of just letting it be and going, it's really not healthy for us to do all these things. It's really not healthy for our family. It's not good for our kids. And if you need to go back and listen to Hierarchy of Covenants, it was one of the very first episodes of this podcast. And it really talks about our first responsibility is to the father, and then to our spouse if we're married, and then to our children if we have them, because these are the covenant relationships that God has ordered. And then other people, we including our parents. We leave our father and mother and we cleave to our spouse and we become one flesh. Okay? So, here's the thing I just want to note for you. So we decide we know we're called to love, no question. Okay? And then we have this faulty premise that we kind of brush over. Okay? If anybody's upset at me, I'm out of line. I need to do what other people say. I need to show up and serve. Okay? Whatever it is. And then we decide, therefore, like I have to do it because that's what love is. Okay? But we've missed it. And we've got to recognize if we're just doing what everybody else is saying, we're like, oh, that's okay. I was like, there was something important I wanted to say. Guess what happens? We start doing what everybody else says, and we're frustrated and we're cranky and we're out of order and we're annoyed and we're struggling. And then we're mad at ourselves because we're like, oh, I'm not very loving. This is so terrible. Guess what? You're going to be better. I mean, yes, we all need to grow in love. No question. I don't want to minimize that. And if you're going out to plant tomatoes when that's not what the Lord has called you to do, you're going to be put out about it. Because His grace to enable you to do that faithfully, to do it in a loving way, to operate in the fruits of the Spirit is not there because you weren't supposed to be there, right? And so there are times where I can just tell we are coming off the rails. And I'm going to be real honest with you because I want to help. Okay. And you might judge me 6 ways to Sunday, and that's okay. There are days we do not go to church because the rails are coming off and the kids are out of order. And I failed to manage the energy level in the home on Saturday. And now we're unraveling, or somebody's starting to get sick or whatever it is. And we sit on the couch and we open the word and we sing worship songs, and it is highly imperfect. But I believe, and I may come back to you years from now and say the Lord's shown me otherwise, but my conviction is that we are far more under His good pleasure at home doing Sunday morning when we're really strung out than we are with us just like a total disaster, trying to drag ourselves in there because I want to make sure everybody sees that we're in church, or because we should be in church, right? And that's not to disparage the importance of like don't neglect meeting together as some are in the habit of doing. Like that's in script, that's biblical, right? And I messed up and I'm dust. And this little humbled bag of bones and the children under her care are just at the end of our rope today. And so, which is more worshipful? Dragging them into church, all of us kicking and screaming, really struggling, difficulty being kind and gracious to one another, or tucking it home before the Father and going, thank you so much that we get to come before you everywhere and anywhere.
Hey, Mama, let me ask you a question. When's the last time you gave yourself some white space? I am not talking about a trip to the bathroom alone or even the grocery store. When's the last time you had what I like to call some no one needs me time? For homeschooling entrepreneurs, time like this isn't a luxury. It's actually a key component to a healthy business, homeschool, and family life. So, if you're ready for your next respite, whether it's you by yourself, you and your spouse, or a family trip, join us at our peaceful haven, Just Like Paradise, located on gorgeous Oak Island, North Carolina. This 3-bedroom house is just a short walk to the ocean and nearby restaurants. It has a screened-in back porch with fireplace that is to die for, hot tub, and even a fire pit if you're feeling ambitious. Book through the link in the show notes. And then you have a unique discount code, podcast100, to get a $100 discount on your stay as a thank you for being one of my listeners. Get your next getaway on the calendar today.
Right? And so now for you, you may be like, there's no way, right? Sunday morning, we're there, no matter what. Okay. But I just want to invite you to just consider, are there places where I'm honoring other people's wishes or shoulds and ought tos or this legalism thing, and I'm not honoring the Father? Okay. And I want to invite you, there's this one particular thing that I think that we can overlook as women of faith that is to our deep detriment. And that is the fact that the living God who created heaven and earth indwells you through the Holy Spirit. Yes, we are sinful. Yes, we are broken. But also, yes, I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. Okay? And two, I wanted to take you to this verse, 2 Timothy. So he's talking to Timothy to say, he says, for this reason I remind you. So he's for this reason, as in because of the faith of your mother and your grandmother, because it now indwells you, I remind you to fan into flame the gift of God, which is in you through the laying on of my hands. Then he says this, for God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. Power and love and self-control. When we are doing the shoulds and ought tos, that's actually, we're operating, I believe, in a spirit of fear. Should and ought to, or else they'll be mad at me, or else I won't be loving, or else God won't be pleased. Whatever it is, think about it. What is it that I'm worried will happen if I don't show up? If I don't follow the script, if I don't play the role? Listen, lots of family this time of year, lots of extended family. There are parts we are all called to play in our family of origin. What's the cost if you don't do it? Right? God did not give you a spirit of fear, but of power and love and self-control. So I'm just going to invite you to consider, maybe when you feel that kind of sick feeling at the idea of going to that event or showing up in a certain way or playing a certain part, maybe that's not you being unloving, being wrong, being lazy, being selfish. What if, take it before the Lord and check it, what if that's your spirit saying, enough, enough, child, lay it down, be with me, prepare me room. Just a thought. So, what are we going to do with all of this? First, really, the most, I think, in a way, the most important thing is what I said last. May you just open up your thoughts, open up your mind to the possibility that maybe you're not wrong all the time. Maybe you don't need to fight against yourself, against your spirit. Maybe, oh, y'all, bless. Okay, this is why I started this whole conversation. I had a coffee chat with a girlfriend the other day. And so I'm just going to use this to just kind of paint the picture. Obviously, not going into all the details because it's her story, not mine. But she was talking about this decision she had to make. And she was like, well, there's option A and option B. And option A is what I feel like I should be doing because, it's like godly, this thing I can say yes to is like a godly thing. But then option B is to say no. And that's what she was basically saying, although she didn't quite say it in this way. That's what I want to do, because I don't know that option A is actually in alignment with our gifts and our values. It's not a bad thing. Like, it's not sinful. There's nothing in scripture speaking against it. It's just, do I invest my time here or do I not? And and the more she talked, the more it was like so obvious what she knew was the right decision. But what caught her was the decision that so option B, she knew that was the right decision for her, looking at her capacity, looking at her gifts, looking at her values, looking at what she'd seen around what it would look like if she did say yes. It wouldn't be in alignment, but she felt bad. And option A, it's like saying yes just sounded holy, right? It sounded good. How many decisions have we said yes to because they sound good? I should want to do that. I dated a guy for a year because he was the guy everybody else said was the good guy to choose, right? That's the godly one. And he was a great guy. But like, that's why I picked him, right? Because he's the one you're supposed to pick. I'm going to just offer a little insight that you probably already know. That's not a great foundation for a relationship. But we do that because we're like, well, we should. We should want to do this thing, right? We should want to say yes to the Bible study. We should want to do more church. We should want to do prayer group. We should want to go to Wednesday night church. Every time the doors are open, we should want to be in there. What's wrong with us? We're limited. We're limited. And this was so profound to me. I forget where I first heard this. It was in a book somewhere, I believe. Every no is a no to that one thing. Every yes is a yes to everything that could fill its space. Think about that. If I say, we just said yes to basketball. Saying yes to basketball is a no to everything else on a Monday night. Everything else. Can't do anything else that night, right? We got basketball. Every yes is so much more costly than your no. So be real quick to say no. If you start to feel that check in your spirit, friend, please, what if just this Christmas you gave it a try? Give yourself permission to attune to that catch in your spirit. You don't even have to know why. You can blame it on me. Be like, this girl, I listened to this podcast and she suggested I give it a try. So I'm saying no. I'm saying no to 5 things before the end of the year, right? Bob Goff has no Thursdays. I don't remember if that's what he calls it, but basically every Thursday he chooses something to say no to. So he'll quit a subscription, or he'll cancel a plan, or he'll step off of a committee that he's on. And when somebody asks, well, why? Because it's Thursday. But there's another side to this as well. As with everything, there are ditches in both directions. And let me just make this really clear for you. If you listen to anything that I say, and really anything that anybody has to say out there, we can fall off the road either way. In either of two, most of the time, there's one way that we can fall off the ditch, and then there's the other way. So if you are in a rhythm of yes, 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 then you need to hear maybe it's time for a no. But then here's the flip side. We can get kind of self-indulgent. We like our wubbies and our warm blankets. We like our cozy nights by the fire. And maybe we like a little bit less going to that neighbor's concert that they invited us to, or showing up for the friend of a friend's party that our friend is really trying to minister in the Lord. That's less exciting and less enticing. A very good friend of mine is teaching me a lot about this as I'm watching them show up and serve and do so from a place of sacrificial love. So here's what I want to offer. We must first recognize that we don't have to in order for our yes to be truly rooted in love. Okay? You don't have to go. We must first bow the knee to the Lord and say, you tell me where my steps should lead. You tell me what my best yes is today. Lead me and guide me. And you know what? Sometimes there's a clear directive. Sometimes there's that freedom. What is it that you most want? What is the greatest yes today? And not what do you most want from this place of like, chocolate cake for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, please, right? The most important yes, the most loving yes, when taking all the souls into account. So, yes, let's say some no's this season to make room for him. But also, yes, let's make sure we are really counting the cost and going the important places, right? It doesn't all fall on your shoulders. It's not all up to you. And yet, something beautiful can happen when you do show up in those unseen places, in those places that you just feel this little nudge to go. So maybe it all comes back to this. We have to tune our hearts to the Father. We have to submit our lives to Him and say, I will go wherever you send me, right? And it's often the place we feel least equipped. It's often the place where we go, I don't know, did it matter? Did they even care that we came? He sees, He knows. So, ditches on both sides in most things. But you know what that means. It means we need to need Jesus all the more so that we can stay attuned to what He is in particular calling us to do. So, if you heard this conversation and you felt in some ways kind of excited of like, yeah, I'm going to say no to all kinds of things in a way that maybe bends towards self-indulgence, maybe time to pull back. If, on the other hand, you felt this kind of nervous fluttering of like, I know that's the right decision, but I'm going to really struggle, maybe that's where you lean in and create that space. The most important thing, kind of maybe the universal thing that we can say without equivocation, is the call for this season is to prepare Him room. The call for every day of our lives, to make room for Christ, to expect Him, to look for ways to magnify His name throughout the world. And sometimes that's going to be by creating space, getting quiet before Him, receiving the next marching orders, sitting in wonder. And other times that's going to mean showing up, kind of pulling up those boots and putting on our work clothes and getting ready to serve however is needed. What's your portion today? Check in with your spirit before you press stop, before you move on to the next thing, and decide, where am I saying no? And where's the best yes? All right, friend. Beautiful work today. And let me know. Let me know what you said no to. Let me know what you said yes to. I want to hear all about it in this Christmas season. Blessings to you, and know that as always, you've got this only because He's got you. He's holding you right now.
Friend, thank you so much for listening to this most recent episode of Overwhelmed to Overcomer. So listen, the whole idea behind this mission is that when we endeavor to be brave with our lives, we need to do it together. Belonging is key. So if you resonated with the message from this episode, share it with a friend. Do it together. Thank you again, and never forget, you've got this because He's got you.